Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to basically make a background in Photoshop and using Cinema 4D for the 3D text if you also want to use that, on how to make a background for the new YouTube layout. I will have a YouTube template for the new YouTube layout in the description. Go ahead and download that. It'll be on mediafire.com. No viruses, nothing, just a template, whatever, for Photoshop. So that was my Audacity that you saw there. So let's start up Cinema 4D. So I'll probably have part 2 not even have Cinema 4D in it at all, because basically if you don't have Cinema 4D, then you're not going to be able to do this. So just go to video 2. If you don't have Cinema 4D, I will show you how to make 3D text in Photoshop. So if you are going to if you don't have Cinema 4D but you have Photoshop, I'll have an annotation on the screen, this whole video, that says click here to go to part 2, and the template will also be in the description of that video for Photoshop. So starting off here, guys, let's go ahead and make our 3D text. Go to MoGraph, go to Mo Text. So we've got our text there, looks pretty nice. Click on the text, it should be already selected. I'm gonna put my depth around 50 because I don't really prefer having extremely thick text. And again, that looks kind of bad, so let's go to 80. Okay, so 80 sounds about good. And then change your text to whatever you want it to be. I'm just gonna change mine to Ninja, and then click on font and choose the font you want. You can get fonts from www.dafont.com. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Let's see what I like. What's this one look like? That one looks stupid. This one looks okay, but I don't want to use it. That looks graffiti-ish. I'm trying to find a graffiti-ish one, but not too much. I don't want to overdo it. Hot mustard. What's that look like? That looks like a weird fat font. Illegal curves. Laptop. I think I know one. It's called Tags Extreme. Sure, let's use this. Okay, so it's gonna say Ninja, and I will separate the text apart a little bit so I can see the J's separately. Go ahead and click on this thing right here and drag the direction you want to drag it to turn the camera, and then use this one to move. This one is zoom and zoom out, and this one is for windows, so you can see it from the top, the bottom, all that good stuff. You click on it, and then you click on the window you want to go into. So whatever. Okay, let's go back into this window. Okay, so we got our text there. If you want to have text that looks pretty cool, hit edit and hit copy, hit paste. So now you've got 2 layers of the same text on 2. Make this one around half of your normal text, and same font, same everything else. Then you need to rotate using this little rotate tool thing right here, and drag on the blue line right here. It goes yellow when you touch it, but drag it so it's about in the middle of the text, I'd say. And then go to caps, go to fillet cap on both, and change the thickness to whatever you like, whatever you prefer. I'm probably going to go to 3, and it will look somewhere around this. Later we will add the colors. So you've got the extra layer around the text. It looks pretty nice, I think. So after we have that, we want to either hit shift and click on both, or hold shift, click on one, click on the other, or you can just drag up like that. It seems a lot easier like this, click and drag. And I want you to hit C on your keyboard. That will cut all of your letters. So you click on the plus, click on the plus, click on the plus, and you've got all of these separate letters. It did that for both. So remember that these will most likely be, as you see, that's the full text, and these are the half. These are the half of the middle letters. So what you want to do is you want to click on the top one, hit shift or drag, either one you want to do, and just get them all down here on their own, get them out of the Mo Text file. Do the same with these, drag them down there, and then you can just delete, click and click delete, and then you've got those. Now you've got some 3D text. I like to twist my letters or turn my letters, so if you want to do that, Just follow my steps. Drag the N so it's up by the N. Drag the or whatever letter you used so it's up next to the letter of its corresponding letter, if that made any sense at all. So now I have to get the N up here, and then okay, so now I gotta get this J, and now I've got my A's together. Now, just before you do any of the rest, just make sure you have it all right. So click on this one, and then click on this one. Make sure they're on the same letter. This one on the same letter. This one on the same letter. J on the same letter. J on the same letter, and A, obviously, because we've only got one A. So as long as they're in the right order, it should work pretty well. Now, all you have to do is click on the two letters that you wish to have. But before we do that, let's add some color to our text, make it look a little bit nicer. Let's get this camera right so I can have it the way I want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to have my text turned a little bit so that I can add the colors to it correctly. Just double click if you want two colors. Double click twice, so double click and you get another color, but I don't want three. So double click on the color that you want and choose a color. I think I'm going to go with dark blue. Let's go with dark blue, yes. Or this color, blue. Okay. And I kind of like to have my text have a little bit of shine to it. So I'm going to go to reflection and drag it around to 50. So now I've got some shine on my text. If you want even more shine or less shine go down, more shine go up. So I'm going to want a little bit more shine. So let's go to 60. Looks pretty nice. And then just drag it on the part you want. If you want it on the front end, click on the front. If you want it on the middle, put it in the middle. However, I want it on the front, so I'm going to put it here. And then my letter changed to the color. Now my text is extremely close together. I will also show you how to move them apart if your font puts them together so they're inside of each other. And that's what she said. Okay, so go ahead and choose a second color. I'm going to use black, and I'm going to make it a little bit shiny as well, but nowhere near as shiny as the previous. If my computer responds. Let's close out of it. If my computer responds. Okay, so I'm going to drag it down to 50 probably. And that's the color. That's reflection, never mind. And my color is not the right color. So if it might end up on the same color, you will just want to change this back to white, and then it will become this color again. But I want a less reflection-y, so I'm going to go to 45. That looks pretty nice. And then just drag it on your other layer, so it should look like this. Just repeat the process until that meant to go on there. No, it meant to go on here. If you mess it up, you don't have to delete it. You can just drag them away from that other text. And I'm going to get my mic a little closer to me. Sorry about that. And then just drag them onto the one that you basically want it on. That's all you really have to do. Click and drag onto the spot on the text that you want them. So that looks pretty hardcore, looks pretty awesome, like that, sweet. Now, turning the text, just click on one, hit shift, because it does seem to bug out quite a bit, just drag it apart, like that. It doesn't need to be near as close, and click on the rotate tool up here, and rotate it the way you want it. That way goes down, that way goes up. I want it like that. Looks pretty sweet. So now let's get the I. Let's get this so my text is centered. Okay, now let's get the I. It's the same thing, so you can click and drag and you'll select the two letters. So I'm just going to do it like that. There my I is going to look sideways. Looks pretty cool. Let's get my, let's move my letters over a little bit, so just click on the move tool again and spread my letters apart. That's what I'm going to do. I guess I don't need to move that one, but it is that one's turn to be moved, so just click on the rotate tool and do whatever you want to do again as well. I'm gonna have my two ends look around the same, so it looks okay, and then just choose, make sure you don't choose the other letters, because if you choose the other letters then it'll just get all messed up and it's a pain in the butt to fix it. but it is very possible to do. If your text does not align the way you wish for it to, just go ahead and move it with the move tool. You can move it forward so it comes up this far. However, I don't want it that far because that just looks bad. So I'm going to put it right about here. It is inside this letter, yes, I understand that, but I'm going to turn that one the opposite direction so it will not be like that anymore. So there you go, you got your letters. Now, another thing that I like to do, let's see how much longer, okay, 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to split the video up to parts. The next part you want to do is basically add a lighting to make it look a little bit nicer. So just go ahead and click on this and just click on light. I'll click and hold and click on light. You're going to want to make sure you have the move tool selected and then come backwards because a lot of the time the light will be a little too close to your text. And then just align it the way you want it, really. You can turn it so that it's facing down on the text, so it's facing away. I honestly don't notice much of a difference when I do those things, so I'm just going to keep it as this. And when I'll click on the light again, click on the move tool, I want it to come back a little bit farther so it's just a little bit brighter. And then the last step is to basically find a camera angle that you like. Do you like this camera angle? Do you like this camera angle? I think I'm feeling it with this camera angle right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this render button right here, and it'll basically show you what your end product should look like. To go in and change your settings so that this will look better, change this to 1280. I'm typing them in, and this one to 720. Or you can just go into custom settings, film, video, and go to this one. That's 1080. But you can, either one really works. You can go to 1080 or you can go to 720, which is, where is it at? I thought there was a 720 on here. Maybe not. Whatever. Let's just leave it at 1920 by 1080. That's high definition. Not that you really need it. Go to save and just select your save destination. I'm going to save it in my documents and I'm going to call it Blue Ninja Text. And just hit save. And then click on Alpha Channel. Change this to PNG. If you're on Mac, it's not abbreviated. So just go ahead and figure that out. I don't remember what it's called. But do that. Then click on anti-analyzing. Go to best. And transparency. All this stuff. Just leave it the same. Render doodle. Okay, hit effect. And I like to use ambient occlusion. It seems to make more realistic shadows. So I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to move my text over to here so that I have it the way I like it. So it should end up looking like this. I always click this button before I render it for the first time just to make sure it worked. See, it's adding the shadows correctly, and let's just give it a little bit of time to do so. This does take a little bit of time, and it will take a little bit of time to render as well, so just give it some time. This is not really, you don't really need to do this, I guess. I just like to kind of show what it's going to look like. You don't have to do it, so I'm not going to, but then just click this button when you're finished and you're ready to render for good, and just let it do its thing. It does take quite a while, actually, but it's going to be really good looking text, and you can use it, and it will be transparent and all this good stuff. And just before, this is my advice, just in case you didn't do the settings correctly, make sure that it has a white background when you look at it before you close out of your Cinema 4D, because I've done it before where I had it perfect just the way I wanted it, and I've closed out of it, forgot to check a setting correctly, and it was a black background, which means it's not transparent, so you can't like take just the text and put it on a photo. You've still got a background to it, and that's just not fun because then you have to redo it, and it never really turns out as good as it was before you did that high performance alert. That's great. Why do I have my webcam on? Okay. So while we wait for this to render, I will see how long we've been going for. 14:47, and this one says 14. So it's around the same timing. Once again, this will take a little while, and I will after this end of this Cinema 4D tutorial, I will be making my other text that's going to go on the other side. Well, I don't know. I think Ninja's good enough. I'll just leave it at Ninja for my background, and I'll go straight into Photoshop. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get comfortable. It's not fun to do this when you're not comfortable. And I'm drinking a Mountain Dew, so that's always good, too. Clapping. Not clapping. Snapping my fingers. So, everybody clap your hands. Sorry for this really boring dead silence, because there's really nothing to do. Actually, the smaller you make your text, it'll probably render faster, but I made it kind of big by keeping my camera zoomed in extremely close, because I don't know, I just think it makes better quality when you enlarge it, which would make sense because anytime you really enlarge an image, the quality gets worse. So in this case, if you shrink it, it'll actually probably get better. Okay, as you see, it's almost done, but when it's finished, we will make sure that, okay, it's finishing it up, and you, as I said, you always want to make sure that it really worked. So go into wherever you saved it. I saved it in my documents, and make sure it has a white background, because if it does not have a white background, you did something wrong. You forgot to check a setting correctly, because if it doesn't have a white background, basically, it will look like this. And you cannot put it into a Photoshop document because it has a black background, if that made sense at all. And you can try and use the magic eraser, but it won't work because, well, unless you didn't use black. Whatever. Anyways. Okay, so that's not my text. So now that we're done in Cinema 4D, you can just go ahead and close out of Cinema 4D and start up your Photoshop.